Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. We will start off in maybe 2 minutes. We'll just give people a little bit more time to start in and to get ready, and then we'll start. So thanks for joining us today.
Right, I think we can probably kick off now, and then if anyone is joining, I'm sure they can catch up. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the last, unfortunately, online webinar of Walk to School Week 2021. My name is Lara, and I'm a Green Schools Travel Officer, and here with me today, there's Kira and Jennifer, also from Green School Travel, and our last guest speaker of today, Ruth, who's the Hill Walking Development Officer from Mountaineering Ireland. Thanks so much, Ruth, for being here with us today. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to your presentation. So just before starting, I'll keep it nice and short because we're all impatient to hear about hill walking and happy hiking. We all hope that you enjoyed Walk to School Week this year. We're sorry that we couldn't hold an event, face to face, but I think we made the most out of the situation because we had great online engagement anyway. And if you didn't get a chance to look at our resources on the website, you should definitely check them out. They're all on the event page under Walk to School Week. We have plenty of new resources that you should look at. And also, if you haven't had the chance to participate to the previous talks that were during the previous days, they're all on our YouTube channel at the moment. So go check them out because they were all very interesting and insightful. And obviously, we hope that you had a lot of nice walks outside during these days. We were very blessed with the weather the previous days, not as much today, at least here in Dublin, but sure, it's gonna be good again. And I'll keep it nice and short and won't steal any more time from Ruth. So whenever you're happy to go, Ruth, I'll leave it up to you.
Thanks, Laura, and thanks for having me today. As Laura said, I am Ruth Whelan. I'm the Hill Walking Development Officer from Mountaineering Ireland. So I'm here to talk about everything hill walking. So I suppose just to start off, get the slides moving first. Just a little bit about myself. I suppose I would have walked on trails and forests and countryside as a child in my hometown in Tramore and around Waterford. But I really only started to get into hill walking in my early 20s when I moved to Dublin, and I was just asked to join a hill walking club, and I thought it'd be a good way to get to know people. And from there, then I started doing challenges pretty much straight away. First challenge I did was the 4 Peak Challenge, which was to climb each of the highest mountain in each province in 3 days. So I kind of liked the challenge, so I said, right, go for it. And then next I knew, I was in Kilimanjaro on the summit of the highest mountain in Africa, and it's one of the 7 summits. And from there, then I really started to explore and started loving the adventure of hill walking and where it would bring you. So I kind of started building my skills and my navigation skills and my mountaineering skills, and just went off. Like, if you can see in the middle picture there, I'm the one in the blue. So we started doing a bit of mountaineering in the Alps, and on the right, I'm on Lake Blanc in France. We just brought the backpacks, and myself and my friend headed off with the compass and the map for a couple of days with bivy bags to sleep in overnight. So it was an amazing adventure. So yeah, I suppose since the early days then I just got completely hooked, and I just wondered, how could I do this every day in and out? Like, how could I merge my hill walking passion with my day job? And thankfully I did get the chance to do this. So first of all, I did actually go back to college and did a sport management degree in UCD. So that kind of gave me a foundation. And then I went on and did a research master's because I loved that so much. And that was kind of in everything about women in sport and women in senior positions in sport. So then during my degree, I was really lucky to get an internship with Mountaineering Ireland for a couple of weeks. So it was free work, but it was the best thing I ever did because once I finished all my studies, I ended up applying for a job, and I've been there ever since. So Mountaineering Ireland, just to give you a little bit of background about that, we are the national representative for hill walkers and climbers. So we're the governing body. So primarily we offer information and training programs to promote safety, self-reliance, and most of all, enjoyment of our mountain environment. And I suppose my role as Hill Walking Development Officer is to focus on the development and promotion of hill walking. But we also provide a lot of support to our members. So we've got about 14,000 members that are linked in with ourselves. And I do a bit of support with the wider hill walking community as well. So just to get started, really, if I could get anyone out there to send in what hill walking has to offer, if you want to put what you think hill walking has to offer in the chat box, just one word of what you think hill walking has to offer. Nature, yes, one of the key ones. So we'll be talking on the future. Yep, so the main thing for, I suppose for kids is always the primary thing is fun. What can it offer? And the hill walking offers a lot of fun and adventure for kids, for everyone of all ages. It also offers that remoteness, so you're just away from all the stresses of the day, away from everything, and just in the wilderness of the beautiful landscape. And it's just beauty to be seen on every angle up the mountains. So yeah, Jennifer mentioned there nature. I suppose we've all been on nature walks, particularly when we're younger. We go out and explore, see what's out there. And hill walking is just one big nature walk as well. Just to touch firstly on the adventure side of it, this is a real picture I took in France. And if you can see the little hut to the right hand side, that's where we were headed that morning. And I just kind of put this picture up just to kind of show, it just really captures like the feeling of adventure that you can get. And this particular morning, like we just walked through so many waterfalls and flowers unique to the uplands. And I just think it just really captures the beauty that's out there. And it's really only on foot that you get to these locations, like, so it just shows you where you can get to with walking. And it's like, yeah, you can't really get there by car. It'd be pretty tricky on a bike, I'd imagine, but walking gets you to locations you can't get anywhere else. So first of all, yeah, Ireland, going back to Ireland then, like I just love Ireland, just for the beautiful landscape it has. it just has so much to offer in terms of, and touched on the wilderness. Like the Alps and the wider ranges have trails and treks which are brilliant. You can get around really easy. But one of the fascinating things about Ireland is the real wilderness and remoteness of it. And it's just so wild and varied across the country. So you can see, Cumshnawn there, beautiful lakes, deep lochs, like spectacular hills. It's just a windswept coastline as well. Obviously, our weather also makes it interesting depending on what season you're walking on the hills with. And we'll touch on the safety aspect of that in a little bit later. So yeah, just another question for you there in the chat box, just to see, test you to see if anyone knows what is Ireland's highest mountain. So this could be a little tricky depending on where you are in the country, I suppose, and especially if you haven't hill walked much, but it's Carrauntoohil, and that is based in the McGillicuddy Reeks in Kerry. It's a fascinating mountain, but it's a steep, long walk, and well known, but you do need to be prepared. You need a certain level of fitness to get there, but I will show you today how, if you're interested, what you can do to get to that level to climb Carrauntoohil. So as well as challenges of getting to the highest mountain and climbing in the wilderness and stuff, the mountains have amazing like beautiful species and flora, fauna that you might recognize, you might see locally in the countryside, but some are unique to the uplands. And this was a leaflet that we published. It's a guide to more flora and fauna species found around Ireland's upland area. And while this leaflet was produced for Northern Ireland, as you can see, like many of the species are found in other upland areas too around the country. And like being able to identify the things we come across and tell people a bit more about them adds a quality of the experience that people enjoy, on the hills. So, you're not just getting to a summit, there's so much to explore along the way. And it just builds people's appreciation for the environment, that supports our activities. We are doing a version for the Southeast as well, so keep an eye on that as well. But as I said, there's a lot of beautiful information that's relevant to the rest of the country as well. So you can see some of the unique flowers. Heather obviously is one of the more common ones seen, but there's some beautiful plants and species to be found in the uplands. Also, like we have, if you're into geography, rock formation and how it formed, there's so much to see as well. Like once you're on the mountains and you have that map, you can see the gullies and like just the different formations and how varied it is across the country. This was Rocks to Ridges leaflet, which I've put in at the end of the slides, but this also provides information, loads of information on different rock formations and geology as well. So it's just kind of showing you the variation of what you can experience when you're on the hills and what you can bring into your experience on the hills as well. So there is, like, hill walking is basically for all ages. There's such a variety of scenery and trails and challenges. You can start really at any age. Obviously, the younger you are, you might need to bring your parents with you. So bear that in mind, start encouraging them now. But that's exactly what Dylan Lynch did. I don't know if you're familiar with Dylan, but he is no ordinary 12-year-old. Along with his dad, he climbed his first mountain at the age of 3, which is very young for someone to get up the mountains. And by the time he was 9, he had already hiked to the top of all the highest points in each county in Ireland. And these included like the highest peaks in each province. which he then went on and won an award for being the youngest person ever to complete this challenge. But Dylan, if you ever come across him, he was on RT posing challenges for other kids last year to go and climb your 200-meter peak in your area. And he is just, he's a fantastic person and a fantastic hill walker, but he just loves the whole fun of the hill walks and the challenges that it can give you. So you can follow him. He's on YouTube, and if you Google him, you'll see a little bit more about him, and he'll give you a little bit of encouragement as well to go off and explore more on the uplands. So yeah, kind of, you guessed at this stage that there's just a lot of mountain ranges within Ireland, and it really is the best way to experience the beautiful landscape of Ireland. Just to show you, this is just really to show you kind of the amount of mountain ranges that are in Ireland. And there are one or two areas that are quite flat, but it wouldn't take you long to get from one area to an area that has some hills and mountain ranges on it. And so a few of the key ones that are very popular would be Errigal, Crogorham, the Neffens up in Mayo, and you've got Knockboy, Galtymore, Croagh-Patrick, one that everyone knows as well. But there's loads and loads to climb. And I suppose the more you get experience, the more you can start ticking off a few lists. There's various different challenges that can get you started. So this is really just to go, okay, so I want to go hill walking, where do I start? And there is some really good signposted trails to begin with, kind of lower level stuff. Discover Ireland has loads of information, lots of family fun adventures outlined on their website, and that includes different walks and trails. Or if you knew you just want to go for a trail, Sport Ireland Outdoor Trails has all the trails outlined, graded, the length of time it will take, the location. So really useful information there if you are going to go out on any trails. And then if you do have parents or you're a little bit more experienced, the World's Your Oyster, you can go, Mountain Views is a website which lists loads of different mountains. And one that we've taken on as the official list of mountains is the Ardennes. This is no mean feat. It's 406 peaks in Ireland of a certain height, and a lot of people take it on as a lifetime challenge. So I suppose the earlier you start, the quicker you get it completed. But the Ardennes is one that many Irish hill walkers aim to complete at some stage in their lives. But it's something to bear in mind if you want to kind of just, a lot of the time, I don't actually take note. I just go off to and explore hill walk, and tend not to kind of manage how many hills or walks that I've done. But it is a way of kind of encouraging you to kind of keep going and kind of explore different ranges by following a list as well. So it's one to look out for. So Laura mentioned earlier, Happy Hiking. This is really a campaign that we're promoting within Mountaineering Ireland at the moment. And there's so many different people coming to the hills, especially in the last year where, we didn't have any other options but to explore our outdoors a little bit more, especially around our local area. And now that we can go wider afield, people are going more upland. So we just wanted to provide them with some safety information to make sure that they have the right information and obviously the right equipment to keep them safe on the hills. So this is just the checklist from that information. And if you're going for, I know it says shorter walk there, but we're talking in hill walking terms here. 8 kilometers might seem like a long walk, but there can be a lot more greater walks. So for a trail walk or something up to about 8 kilometers, you definitely need some good boots, a small backpack with a few key items. It is Ireland, so all the layers So including sun cream, you also need your rain gear, jacket and pants, keep you dry. Because, it does become important, particularly on the mountains, well, first of all, it could really save your life if you get into a situation to have the right gear with you. But also it could just be the difference between a really miserable day and a really enjoyable day if you have the right equipment and the right gear with you to keep you warm. So yeah, warm layers, because as you move up the hills, you're struggling up a hill, you start warming up and then you stop and you slow down and you have a drink of water, you start getting cold again. So layers to put on and put off are really important as well. Obviously keep your mobile charged in case you need it. I would obviously, a lot of people use maps on their phone, but I would always encourage a backup of an actual map as well, because phones can be unreliable, and you want to have that backup with you in terms of having an actual map to get you out of a situation that you might find yourself in. Food and drink, very important, but Dylan actually, he would always say, make sure to keep the nicest food for the top. So if you're hungry along the way, keep the good treats for the summit, and you can enjoy them up the top of the mountain with a good view. But yeah, like lots of food and drink is really important for a good day out as well. And then if you're going a little bit further and a little bit more exposed into the uplands, like the wider ranges, then you definitely need a map and compass, first aid kit. So make sure someone with you has first aid kit. Obviously, like if you're going with your parents, they might have that already. If you're going with a guide, they will have it as well. So and the survival blanket, again, it'll be someone either with you or yourself that you might have if you're really taking it, getting an interest in it. So what do you need to do when you're planning a walk? Depends on your level, so really be realistic and choose a route which matches your skills and abilities. So as mentioned before, there's so many different trails of all different levels that you can start on. So start off small and low level, just to find out what your fitness level is, because it can be different to when you're walking, within the community or on the roads and paths, and just build up that fitness and experience. So yeah, like as mentioned before, Ireland particularly is very wild and remote, and there's very little marked walking trails as you get further upland. So you would need the map reading and compass skills, or as I mentioned, hire a local guide, or maybe a club, link in with a club. So yeah, always start out early, especially if you've coming into the fall and the autumn. And even in the summertime, just make sure you've allowed enough time for your planned walk, so you're up and down in daylight, because it is no fun coming down in the dark. And you need particular navigation skills to move through in darkness upland. Always leave your details of your planned walk with somebody reliable and someone that will be there if anything happens, and let them know what time you expect to be back at as well. So mentioned the checklist, that's just kind of referring back to as well. So it's just to check your checklist before you head out as well. And obviously, if you're young, bring your parents with you. So yeah, maps and compass. So these girls here, a little bit confused about where they are, but they do have maps to find their location. It's actually really fun as well, and just having simple navigation techniques and route finding skills just allows you to identify the land around you, and actually makes it more fun. So I really like matching up the map with the landscape to kind of find where I am. But it also allows you to choose a good route, so it avoiding cliffs and gullies and things that could get you into trouble. So many mountaineering skills, they are actually really easy to learn, and you're just kind of matching the maps and stuff, but you need a lot of practice to kind of get it right, and particularly then when you get into like a situation, that practice comes into play, and it's really important. But it's great fun, and I would recommend anyone to start learning their skills. just to mention, while I have that slide up, actually, Mountaineer in Ireland have Mountain Skills Award, and it has Mountain Training 1 and Mountain Training 2. And then you can go on and get your award if you want. Now, you do have to be over 16 to do the assessment, to do the award. But it's all around just learning basic skills and navigation skills. So it's a really good one if you're keen to get out and explore a little bit more. So yeah, I suppose look at like everything, it's important to know what to do in an emergency situation, or that people that you're with know what to do. And there's 2 numbers there, so depending on where you are, you can call either. It's 112 or 999. Up the north of Ireland, it's mostly 999, but it's really knowing who to ask for as well. And we are really lucky in Ireland to have fantastic teams of mountain rescue, which are all voluntary based, and these people risk their lives coming out to save others, and they are a fantastic group of people that keep us all safe. So in an emergency situation, if you find that, first of all, when you get lost, just keep calm, think about where you've walked, kind of have a look, find out where, try and trace your steps if possible, and descend to get below the clouds, and that might kind of allow you to kind of find out where you are. But in the case that there is an injury or an emergency, or you are lost, you can ring the emergency number and you'll get through to Mountain Rescue, and they are absolutely fantastic. They'll come out and hopefully bring you home safely. So yeah, we can't say enough positive about our mountain rescue teams. So yeah, there's other elements to our outdoors that we need to consider. First of all, our mountains don't grow. They are the size they are, and we can't expand them. So we have to mind them, and we just have to be respectful of the areas that we go. So there's just a few things to consider. First of all, park carefully, so that you're going basically upland to a lot of privately owned land. So just be kind and nice to the farmers, and they kindly allow us to roam their lands freely. But we just have to respect the lands that we cross over as well. And a lot of the time, if you do come across a farmer on the land, they're always open for a chat. So pop over, have a chat, make sure it's okay for you to cross their land as well. It's always good to link in with them. And obviously the communities as well within the areas where we climb, it's good to support them, and also be respectful. So when you get up to a starting point of the hill walk, it mightn't be always obvious, but there could be a gateway or a narrow road that maybe someone will have to get into, and it mightn't be obvious at the time, but just check first and try not to block. And again, it also it just helps in case of emergency to make sure that those areas aren't blocked as well, so the emergency services can get into. Dogs may not always be welcome, and they're not. It's policy now, no dogs upland, because this is really we all love our dogs, and they are great company, and they are allowed on some marked trails. But when you go upland, there are sheep and farm animals that can get really frightened, even in the presence of a dog, even if he's on the lead, but particularly if he's off the lead as well. And that it is a concern for farmers, and it can also really worry the sheep as well. So we would recommend not to bring dogs upland. And then you can go on to Sport Ireland for the walking trails that do allow dogs as well. So yeah, and preventing erosion, as I mentioned, like we can't grow our mountains, so we have to protect them. So if there's a path, just make sure you walk on that path. Even when it's wet or muddy, try to stay on the path. This prevents like further widening of the path and damage. And obviously litter, I'll mention that a little bit more detail shortly, but if you bring it with you, bring it home and leave no trace, and keep our landscape as beautiful as it was before we got up there. So yeah, and it's just nice to support the local areas that we walk and climb in as well. So I mentioned there rubbish, and we have a campaign at the moment which is just one from the hills. So like there are more people enjoying the outdoors, and littering has, particularly in the last year or so, has become more visible in forests, close to water, around car parks, and on popular hills. I actually even came across recently an Easter egg box. So someone actually walked into a remote area with an Easter egg and the wrapper and left the box. So they carried it all in and left it there. I was just boggled that someone could leave it there. And it's so obvious when you're in such a remote area and everything is green and the litter is just left there. So what we're suggesting is not to take away from the enjoyment of your day, that if everyone just picked up just one piece litter, because we know there's a lot of people out there that are really good, they pick up a lot of litter on their way, but just if you have a glove or a bag, just pick it up with the bag and just bring one piece home with you. And it could really make a difference if we all just even brought one piece home with us. So yeah, that's just something to be mindful of as well. So yeah, I suppose the next thing really is, how do we get started? So there are lots of ways to get into hill walking. Like me, I would have started with my family, and you know, parents, everyone is keen to get outdoors these days as well. So ask your mom and dad if you're interested, see if they are interested. We can link them up to the Mountain Skills Award, or link them into programs to kind of get them up skilled as well. And you know, as I mentioned, start on trails lower level that you can kind of build your confidence and your skills. There's other like local sport partnerships, and there's one in most areas, and they are really keen on loads of different sports. I'm sure you're familiar with them, but it's worth checking in with them to see if they have any hill walking or trail walks going on in your area. Also the Girl Guides do a lot with the outdoors, and obviously Scouts and the Cubs as well. They incorporate hill walking and adventures into their activities, so be worth checking them out as well. So I'm kind of coming close to the end. I just wanted to give a little quick recap on what I've said to date. So yeah, really start by following a short marked trail and build up to longer walks. Always check the weather before you head out. It's really important, because as well, the weather is just really changeable upland. It might look sunny, but once you get up to a certain height, the mist could come in and the weather could change really quickly. So make sure you check the weather. Always bring some extra clothing, some food and water, and be flexible about turning back if the weather does deteriorate. When parking, take care not to block access for farmers, local residents, and indeed the emergency services. Only take dogs where they are permitted. Take home all your rubbish. There's no litter collection services in the outdoors. So rubbish is harmful also, just to mention that as well, to wildlife. And it does take from the beauty of the landscape. And please be considerate towards those who own the land and others who live in the area as well. So that kind of brings us to the end of my slides. This is some information that I mentioned throughout the presentation. Our Happy Hiking campaign, you can find more information. There's a little QR card scan there that you can scan, and it brings you into the leaflet as well, but it's also on mountaineering.ie. If you just Google Happy Hiking, there's loads of information there for you as well. And they're just the two leaflets that I mentioned earlier. One is Walking with Wildlife and From Rock to Ridges. And I think I shared the links with Kira, so she might be able to share them out with the rest of you there as well, that you can have a look at. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Just want to thank you for having me along today. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks a million, Ruth. That was very interesting, very insightful. I feel like now we have all of the things that we need to know to go out for long walks. So we have no excuses anymore, really.
There's nothing to stop you now. Yeah.
Exactly. We do have a couple of questions. Well, first of all, to answer your question, to answer what you said, yes, Kira is sharing now all of the links of the campaign. So it's all there in the chat box for you to have a look.
Great.
I before we start on the questions, I should apologize. I think that the chat was disabled at the beginning for all attendees. So if you were trying to send us in some answers to Ruth's questions, I'm sorry that they didn't show up. I have disabled that. So if you want to send...
What you're saying, Kira, is they all knew the
highest mountain in Ireland. Exactly, they all knew. But I didn't allow that knowledge to be shared. But the Q&A function is definitely working. So if you have specific questions.
We have a good few questions in the
Cool. Thanks. Thanks, Lara.
First one is, what is your favorite walk in Ireland and your favorite walk from your travels?
There's so many. Let me think. So I have to go local with the favorite walk in Ireland, because I suppose it's just, you kind of know it more and explore it more. But I would have to say the Cumber Mountains. I think the picture was in one of the slides, but Cumshanon. But just anywhere in the Cumber Mountains, really, because you can kind of extend the day and shorten it. You can come across lakes, waterfalls, ridges, gullies, if you're a little bit more adventurous. Definitely that area. I'm keeping it wide, but that would be my favorite walk, and kind of vary it. And then from my travels, I have to say, like, I have done some amazing climbs, like the Kilimanjaro was amazing, the alpine climbs too. Just the technical side of it was really fun. But I would have to say the time I went around La Aiguille Rouge in Chamonix with my friend, just the two of us, with our backpacks, all our gear on our backs, and just bivy bags to sleep in. That was the most amazing experience. We just went for 4 nights in the mountains, and that was just the funnest, and kind of the most wilderness, so like just remote and kind of doing it for ourselves. So yeah, I have to put that up there.
Great, thanks. Then we have an interesting question. Do you need to spend a lot of money on equipment? What should you invest in?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would say, first of all, you can start hill walking on a very, very low budget. There's lots of shops out there now that kind of offer a lower level. The key things you do need to get is like good hill walking boot, and the rain gear. Now, the more money you spend on those particular key items for hill walking, the better quality in terms of waterproofness, especially in Ireland. Like, it is good to have a good boot with a good grip and good waterproofing. And the rain gear, obviously, if you are going to be going out for long stretches, the better waterproofs you have, the better. But like, starting off, you can really kind of, you could get going with €100 with your raincoat, and then, like lots of people, it's really accessible to get breathable clothing now, and layers, like you can get them in Tesco's little nowadays. So like, yeah, starting off, you can start with a basic budget to get key items you need, but as you get more interested, you tend to spend more money on the gear as well as you go. But you can start in a low budget.
Do you have a favorite snack for the top of the mountain?
Well, a friend of mine used to make like homemade caramel squares, which was always a nice treat at the top. Banana is always a good one, but I think I wore them out on one trip, so I just couldn't look at another banana for a while. But a good sandwich and a cup of tea can't beat. Obviously, coleslaw and stuff like that doesn't really work for a long day on a hike. You're better to go with more like ham and cheese classic.
For sure. So we have another question, but you partially answered it already, because it says, do you have to spend a lot of money in boots, and some can be expensive?
Yeah, they can be expensive, but like the key thing is to support your ankles. So if you get a boot, and then obviously the more waterproof it is, but for starting out, like, that you don't need to start with a really expensive pair, just something to support your ankles and that has a good grip. Just not runners or anything like that, because you can really get into serious situations before you know it, on screen and stuff like that.
What distance would you recommend for walks for beginners?
So it depends. You're bringing in a few things to consider. So you have the height gains. So like, is it flat or is there many hills involved? The terrain, is it path? Is it gravel? Is it steep? Like, are you going to be going through heather and so on? And that'll kind of dictate the distance as well. Because sometimes it's not really the distance, it's more kind of the steepness as well. So, and like an easy walk, you're starting off like 200-300 meter gain would be steep enough, but yeah, again, it depends on how far you're gaining. So yeah, it's hard to know. You have to kind of base around your fitness as well. But the trails, 4 or 5 kilometers, that'd be a good place to start.
Have you come across any unusual wildlife on your hikes?
Yeah, I mean, there's some, I can't think of the names now, but there are some beautiful, there's one particular friendly fox actually in Cumshannon, and he's well known. He's very, very well known at this stage. He's not shy. He comes out like when you're walking down from the ridges there, and he just pops out really friendly. But like in the Alps, there's some really unusual flowers that were unique to the Alps of a certain height in altitude as well, which is quite, I can't think of the names now, but yeah.
And then we have, for now, the last question is, do you have any hikes on your bucket list?
Yeah, a few. Locally, I've kind of done enough, but I think I'm going to explore some of the lesser known mountains within Ireland. I've kind of done most of the more well known, so I'd like to kind of go and explore the kind of lesser known ones. I would love to go back to the Italian Alps and do a little bit more there. I've explored a little in Morocco, the Atlas Mountains. I'd love to do a little bit more there. I've a lot of obviously I'd love to go to Nepal, to the Himalayas. There's so many peaks there as well, but I've got loads. I don't think we're going anywhere for a while, so I kind of parked a few of them for now, but I think I'll just explore a little bit more around Ireland, kind of lesser known ones.
That sounds good. We had a lot of time to dream about future plans anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Start mapping them out.
Yeah. Great. Is there any other question before we close it up? If you want to put any last question on the Q&A box or the chat box, otherwise we'll just close it here. No, I think we're good.
Just to say that like my email is ruth@mountaineering.ie, and if schools or anyone are interested in kind of finding out a little bit more, just email me or get in contact with Mountaineering Ireland, and we'll be able to provide you with a bit more information on what you need to know. So happy to help.
That's great. Thanks. Right. Well, thank you very much for your talk today, for sharing all of this very useful information. And I hope you all enjoyed it. We did. I did anyway. And yeah, I hope that you can take all of the information that we gave you this week and make the most out of them, and just enjoy your walks and go out for, nature walks or city walks, even anything really. And yeah, I think that's all from us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and if you go out for walks and take any nice picture, you can always tag us on social media. We're always happy to see where you wander. And yeah, happy end of Walk to School week, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.